Compass live stream. Let me just grab my computer over here. There we go. My cat's playing with the stuff. There we go. I got it. All right, 1 a.m. live stream here to chat about Freemasonry. As always, any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, I'd love to hear them. Hit that like and a subscribe button. As always, these 1 a.m. streams, I tend not to have any specific topics. It's mostly I just hang out and wait to see what people want to talk about. Again, when it comes to Freemasonry. So, any thoughts, positive, negative, or neutral, please let me know. As you know, I'm going on vacation soon on the 24th, so I'm almost there. And it's going to be a blast. I cannot wait. Going to the old country. We got hearts. I'm guessing that might be Smokey. As always, in with the hearts. Thank you, Smokey, for joining us. Or it could be somebody else doing the hearts as well. There we go. I saw the picture you sent me. It was gross, but it wasn't that bad, to be honest. It looks like it's healing up all right. So just do what your doctor tells you, as I always say. And yeah, I hope that the healing process continues for you. And let's give it some time. Let's see who else joins. Any thoughts on Freemasonry? Today, this morning, I chatted about my passport, getting a new passport, more specifically, getting a new passport and how it made me feel about being a citizen and a Mason and what I think those mean, or what I think it means to be both a citizen and a Mason. I really enjoyed that discussion. I posted some ideas about that on social media as well. I hope you'll check them out there on all of my different accounts. Today's 1 p.m. stream, so the 12 hours from now, there's some interesting economic things I noted that I want to discuss. Americans falling back on utilities, which I think is important to discuss in a Masonic context, because if Americans are falling back on their ability to pay utilities, what does that mean for their ability to, focus on Freemasonry? Also, Canadian travel to the US, the fact it's dropping and why I don't want to see it drop. So yeah, and also, just a quick note, the House of Commons voted to pass Budget 2025 here in Canada, which means Mark Carney's budget has passed. I talked about that on a stream. There are some initiatives within the budget that I think could be a benefit to Freemasons, could be a benefit to Masonic lodges or Masonic buildings. Well, I mean, I don't know to what extent they can or can't, because Antifa isn't really an organized group to my understanding or my knowledge. So it's a bit like trying to stop smoke, right? It kind of just goes where it's going to go. But I do think there is underlying Antifa a certain amount of despondency and nihilism. And I think that, like what you saw, at least with the violent protests, not everybody involved in it was violent. But the point is, I think Freemasonry can be a solve against that, or can mitigate against the more nihilistic or cynical outlooks of both far left and far right groups. There is a lodge in my city. Well, welcome A.B. I'm going to call you AB. Please hit like and subscribe. Is the 33rd degree equivalent to a black belt? I mean, yeah, I would say being a worshipful master is equivalent to a black belt, to be honest. If you had to kind of find a way to combine the two ideas, I'd say being a worshipful master, or certainly being an installing master, is equivalent to a black belt. Beyond that 33rd is more an honorific. So it's more like almost, if you want to use a analogy of martial arts, it's almost closer to like a dojo being named after a teacher, something to that effect. A black belt, I would say, is closer to, again, an immediate past master. In terms of the idea of being the most skilled at Freemasonry, define as you will. 33rd degrees AB are more, it's an honorary title, it's an honorific. It's something that is granted to a Mason who's contributed a lot to the craft through time and effort and commitment. I don't think they are smoky. I mean, there's no head office. There's nowhere you could go to meet like the head of Antifa, right? Um, my cat's trying to get my stuff. AB, though, welcome. Thank you for being here. What brought you to my stream? Were you searching about Freemasonry? I mean, the other thing you can always do is you can always go to the lodge in your area or in your city and ask to speak to them about Freemasonry and what it is. Look up J.D. Delay. Who is J.D. Delay? Why do you want to move into? I would never want to join a club. Oh, the old. I forget who said that. But I know. I think it was Groucho Marx who said that. Something like that. Jim H. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Well, B. Ron, I do not know why you want to move in with me. I'm very messy. I'm very, very messy. You would not enjoy it. And I have a cat. It can be that, Doggy McNaughty. I'm going to call you Doggy for the time being. It can be that, unfortunately. That's not all it is, but I mean, a lot of men join it and remain for the social aspect because they want to hang out with people they know. Sometimes it involves having a few libations. Often it can involve dinners. Often it involves just socializing over coffee. That's not the primary purpose of Freemasonry. It's not about that per se, but there is a social aspect to it. Without question. B-Ron, please hit like and subscribe. How is it going? Thank you all for being here. These 1 a.m. streams are just hangout streams. I don't have any specific topics. Rather, just talk about whatever. So, Shampoo says woohoo. Okay, he looks like he's some type of life coach. I just looked him up on YouTube. He's from career criminal to recovery coach. Thank you, B-Ron. So do you have any thoughts on Freemasonry? I know you're asking about, living with me, but believe me, you don't want to. So instead, let me know if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry. And Alberti will consider doing a 99-cent super chat, which helps out big time. And let me know, as always, is there anything that you want to chat about? Just hanging out, talking. These 1 a.m. streams, I don't have any specific topics about Freemasonry. Rather, it's just hang out and see who's talking and what they want to chat about. I don't know if I am MS. I'm doing well. How are you? I'm just a guy who's happy to be here and hope everybody's doing well. I was born in Winnipeg, spent the last several years in Windsor, Ontario. And I love Windsor, Ontario. I love Canada, greatest country in the world. I talked earlier this morning about citizenship and Freemasonry. And I think we in Freemasonry are behooved to care about our countries and to be almost, in a sense, cheerleaders for them. That doesn't necessarily mean cheerleaders for the political situation, that changes, but just cheerleaders for the country as a whole. MS, where are you from? My accent sounds Canadian. It's funny, I don't hear myself as having an accent, but I mean, obviously, you're not going to hear your own accent, right? India, very cool. I'd love to get the chance to visit India. It's on my bucket list, um, without question, because it's such an incredible. I know a lot of people from India, very kind people. It looks like a very friendly, wonderful country. So you can send me the message. That's cool. Do you? I mean, they can be a support network. I think they should be in a lot of ways, whether they are or not. That kind of depends on the lodge culture, how many members are in the lodge. But certainly, as your network increases, you should be able to grow your support system, and hopefully, Freemasons, if they are, abiding by Masonic philosophies and ideas, will be a support system. And if a brother needs help, will will want to help them. That is something I think that should happen. As an American, I mean, I'm glad you love Canada. And you're American. I love America. Right? A million times I've said it. I'll say it again. Canada is the greatest country in the world, in part because we have the greatest neighbors in the world. And I truly believe that to be the case. I don't remember if you told me that or not, but I am glad that it was the greatest time in your life. Certainly, these Canadian parties, they can get pretty fun. They can get pretty crazy, but they can get pretty fun as well. So I'm glad it was memorable. I've had some pretty great moments in Canada. A lot of it, primarily being Masonic parties, but I've had some good times. Okay, I mean, yeah, I'd love to get there. I know it's also very expensive to fly to India, so I don't know if I can do it anytime soon, but it's on my list of places I'd love to visit. I mean, Canada has crimes as well as not as well. That's not the right term. As much as any other country, right? Canada has crimes, but I do think if like I'm curious now, crime rate Canada versus USA. United States has a significantly higher homicide rate. However, we have actually higher property crime rates. So there you go. But I mean, property crimes versus I would rather have my property be absconded with than my life. That's for sure. We snuck in. All right. Well, your secret's safe with me and everybody else on YouTube, Smokey. I suspect if it was long enough ago, they're not going to worry about it. Having said that, nobody sneak into countries. Don't listen to Smokey. That could get you in some trouble. Okay. Well, that's good. I mean, I'm happy to hear that. I was saying, as a citizen, right, what it means to be a citizen, and one of the big things it means is being respectful of the laws of the country in which you are visiting or traveling to or residing, whether that be India, Canada, or anything else. We ran through the woods. So this is, I'm guessing maybe they've added some more patrols and stuff because I know there is a ton of areas in the Canada-US border where it is just a lot of nature and woods. Um, but I think they're trying to get those areas better guarded. So maybe you'll never get the chance to do that again. So I hope you enjoyed it while you got it. Put it that way. I hope you enjoyed it when you had it, when you were a teenager. Having said that, who knows? Maybe there are still people running up and down in the woods. It would not shock me by any means. Um, I mean, I know I've heard of people like even in you hear all the stuff about the Canada Mexico or sorry the U.S. Mexico border, and I've known of people who were visiting friends in California, and they basically took a boat from California to Tijuana, no stopping for the Coast Guard or Border Patrol agents. They just able to take a boat from one side to the other and grab some drinks at a bar in Mexico. So who knows? Again, not suggesting that either, right? Because I don't know what the penalties are for crossing into Mexico illegally and back into America, but it seems probably very bad. Yeah, I suspect Smokey probably um, uh, a lot of things have changed at the border. Hello, Crystal Lynn, Don Day Chief, Belt. I mean, I don't do it. I mean, I don't smoke. I don't smoke weed, nor do I smoke anything else. Um, I don't even drink. However, I do know Masons who do. So it just depends on the Mason and what their own personal kind of view of it is. I got birth in Delhi, the capital of India. Okay, and I feel like if I were to fly to India, I'd probably fly to New Delhi, right? That's my suspicion, anyways. Um, well, Vancouver, I think, doggy. Um, I mean, I have my other bad habits. I have a bit of a junk food habit. I don't drink enough water. I drink way too much coffee, way too much caffeine. But that is all, we all have our different bad habits. So what can I say? That's mine. Um, I would like to visit China. I like to visit Hong Kong specifically, actually. So that is 100% on my list of places I would love to visit. Um, Fingers crossed, because there is Freemasonry in Hong Kong. Specifically, there is Freemasonry in Hong Kong and in Macau. In Hong Kong, it derived from the Grand Lodge of England, United Grand Lodge of England, and in Macau, it derived from the Grand Lodge of Portugal. Theophilus, welcome back. Thank you for joining us as always. I hope that you are doing well. How is your night going? I know some Hong Kong people you can't see anymore, as in like, did the stream cut out? Oh, I am. You can hear me typing, I know. But I'm on my laptop, yes. So I know the typing can come through. Um, Lots of Indonesians. What do I think of Freemasonry in Alberta or Canada? That's an interesting question. I mean, I don't. World Cleanup and Management Foundation. Hello. Before you're done cleaning up, please hit like and subscribe. That's an interesting question, Crystal. I mean, I don't know a ton about Freemasonry in Alberta. Actually, an early podcast guest on my channel was from Alberta. He's a really cool dude, and he talked about it. I think Freemasonry is struggling in Alberta as much as it is anywhere else. It's also struggling in Canada as overall, right? Numbers are dropping, membership numbers are dropping. I think Freemasonry, though, is vital for a successful civic society, whether it be Canada or United States or anywhere else. And I would love to visit Freemasonry in Alberta. They've done some amazing programs recently, Weekend Without Titles, a few conferences. They're doing a really good job. Yes, my name is Cameron, World Cleanup. Are you a Freemason? You say brother, so I'm assuming maybe you're a Freemason. If you are, where are you from? And in Canada in general, I think Canadian Freemasonry is suffering a lot of the same issues as we see in American Freemasonry, both in terms of lack of membership and lack of engaged members. I mean, I don't smoke weed. I'm not a fan of weed nor of alcohol, but that's just me personally. I know Freemasons who do smoke weed, so it's up to, I guess, the individual Mason to decide for himself. We have somebody from Denmark. Welcome, Denmark. Thank you for being here, Dinovik. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Let me know if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry. I don't have any specific topics, World Cleanup, for the 1 a.m. streams. I just shoot the poop with the chat, answer any questions. My topics on here are always, in general, Freemasonry, but specific topics, I kind of leave that up to you. And this is going to be a shorter stream. I'll probably end the stream in about 10 minutes. I usually go from 1 a.m. to 1:30, something like that, or 2 o'clock. I will be back on at 1 p.m. Eastern, so you'll be able to find me there in about 12 hours. Charlie Robert, WTF. I have not, Theophilus. I have not. Okay, well, thank you for that, World Cleanup. Like I said, please hit like and subscribe. Charlie Robert, when you are done laughing at me, please hit like and subscribe also. I hope everybody watching this is having an excellent, excellent night. It is night here, that's for sure. It is night here. It is 1 a.m. I do these streams. I do 1 a.m. streams and 1 p.m. streams. So thank you, World Cleanup. Okay, I just told you, I'm sorry that the building burned down. That sucks. I hope that you do get some good masons to repair it. I am not a Freemason, or sorry, I'm not a stonemason. I am a Freemason, been one since 2007. I'm not a stonemason. I cannot build anything out of stone or shape stone. I wish I had those skills. I think more masons should learn about our stone masonry roots and how to manipulate stone. I don't have that skill though, but I hope you find some stonemasons who can help you. I'm a Freemason, speculative mason. I build metaphorically, not literally. There is no religion that's required to join, Doggy. McNulty, there are masons of all different religions: Jewish, Hindu, Christian, Muslim, Sikh, indigenous. That's, I think, one of the greatest parts of Freemasonry is the fact that we have masons of all different religions and religious beliefs. You just need to believe in a supreme being. Crystal, that's a great question. Honestly, I'm going to kind of move past your question a little bit because I don't think right now what Freemasons need to worry about is dropping membership. Rather, I think what we need to worry about is decline in member engagement. So getting the members we have presently to attend more often and to be more engaged in the lodge. That's right, Never Knows Best. And I think for that, honestly, I think there's some very interesting work being done on the idea of personality assessments and the idea that there are certain personalities that are more likely to be, what's the word? Engaged with Freemasonry. I think there's some arguments there. Ultimately, I think what it comes down to is relevance in our lives and in our communities. If we can be relevant to Freemasonry, if Freemasonry is relevant to its membership, you'll get more members engaged. I actually wrote about that in a Medium story called It's More Than a Game, which I encourage you to check out. And you can learn more about how I think we can get our membership to be more engaged. What is the meaning of Freemason? Well, this is going to sound a little bit like a cop-out answer, World Cleanup, but I promise you it's not. There is no single meaning to being a Freemason. Rather, every Freemason decides for himself what the meaning of being a Freemason is. I can tell you, for me, the meaning of being a Freemason is the belief that the world can be made better through the application of brotherly love, relief, and truth. Or that it's worth fighting to make the world a better place through the application of brotherly love, relief, and truth. And that is something I continue to believe, even though sometimes the world tests that theory quite a bit. Cameron, my name is Cameron Theophilus, but you can call me Brochacho. That's fine. I'll take it. So call me Cameron. Call me whatever you want. Just don't call me late for lunch, as I always say. Well, the Illuminati, right, was famously founded by Adam Weishaupt in 1777, if I recall correctly, the date. It was started by an ex-Mason who had some issues with Freemasonry, and as a consequence, wanted to start his own group. Didn't really go anywhere. To my knowledge, it died out by the early 19th century, or the 1910s, 1920s, something to that effect. It's one of those things where I don't know a lot about it. I wouldn't label it as Satanist. I think it was just a group started by a guy who got cranky with Freemasonry, wanted to start his own organization, and wasn't able, it wasn't able to survive like Freemasonry because I think it was on a much less solid foundation on which it was built. No worries. JJIA. Hello from Texas. Hello from Canada. However, I've been to Texas on a few occasions and love it. Texas is a beautiful state. I've been to Dallas, Fort Worth area and Gonzales, Texas, and I loved them both. I'm not talking about the Illuminati. I'm talking about Freemasonry. Illuminati is a separate group, which unfortunately very often gets, lumped in with Freemasons, even though they're not the same thing. Joey Casa, I don't know. Please like and subscribe. Smokey the Clown, thank you for that. That's very kind of you. I don't know if the Stanley Cup is in Texas. Freemasonry, it's an umbrella term, but it basically refers to civic organizations or social clubs and social groups that exist throughout North America and around the world, including in Texas. But think social club, civic organization. Most people think of Freemasonry in terms of the fraternal side of the order, the fraternity. However, there is also Order of Women Freemasons, as well as Eastern Star and Rainbow. And I agree, Freemasons are good. Yes, I got a big nose, but you can still hit like and subscribe, All Night Empire. I agree, Crystal Lynn. I think 100%. I think, you know, COVID was just a horrible time for everybody, obviously. If there was a silver lining, it's that it forced, at least within Freemasonry, if there was a silver lining, it's forced lodges to consider different ways to interact with its membership and to reach out to new applicants. And one of the best ways to do so was through the use of Zoom meetings. A lot of my, best Masonic friends I met through Zoom meetings when meetings were online, and you could have visitors from around the world, who could visit you without having to spend money on a ticket or anything like that for planes. I think there's a ton of benefits to Zoom meetings, both having private Zoom meetings exclusive for membership and having Zoom meetings open to the public as some type of public education. My grandfather, well, Travis, thank you for being here. I mean, you're welcome to, I hope you will consider taking a look in it. My grandfathers on both my mom and dad's side were Freemasons, and my father's a Freemason as well. From a lodge, never seen it, heard of it. It can happen, never seen it firsthand. JC Play 87, hello, thank you for being here. Well, don't say just an old building. I love old buildings. Old buildings are awesome. And Freemasonry, we are very lucky to have a lot of historical buildings within our craft. It's a beautiful thing. Um, it's unfortunate though that when you did the open house, that's all you saw. Freemasonry is much more than that. It's a fraternity, it's a social club. It does charitable work. It's there to support brethren and perform rituals, or ritual, I should say. Our Masonic ritual, which comes down from past generations and bonds us as brothers. There's a lot of really special and beautiful things about Freemasonry, but the buildings are part of it. I love supporting our Masonic buildings. Um, Hate from Texas. Well, there you go. Or no, hate from Florida, says Coconut Head. You can still hit like and subscribe while sending hate from Florida. JJ, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope that this stream helps make you realize Freemasonry is not something negative. How much are dues? It depends, Theophilus, on the lodge. Each lodge sets its own due structure. I know dues that are as cheap as $40 per year, and ones that are expensive as $500 per year. It depends on how much it costs to operate the lodge, which usually depends on things like its rent, its building, the city it's in. New York is going to be more expensive probably than, let's say, small town Texas. Well, that's true. So maybe the old building was less impressive to you. But for me, I love old buildings. And in Canada, we have old buildings, but, perhaps not as old as some of the ones in Denmark. Thank you, JJA. I appreciate that very much. So Freemasonry and Illuminati are not the same or similar, but they often find themselves being talked of in the same breath. Freemasonry was founded, you can pick your date, but for our purposes, we're going to use the most common, which is Freemasonry was founded on June 24th of 1717. The Illuminati was founded about 60 years later in 1777. The Illuminati was founded by an ex-Mason, actually, named Adam Weishaupt, who did not like Freemasonry. He joined, but found it to be A, too expensive, and B, he felt it was not focused enough on the esoteric qualities of esotericism. So he started his own group called the Illuminati. He probably borrowed some stuff from Freemasonry. Having said that, I don't know much about, Illuminati kind of ceremony. But the Illuminati died out, it hasn't really existed in any meaningful way for at least a century. A lot of people, though, both at the time and still today, confuse the two or think the two are the same. Many monarchs have been Freemasons throughout history. Queen Elizabeth's husband was a Freemason. The king, if you recall, there's the king of the King's Speech, King George V, I think it was a Freemason. King George of the Revolutionary War, who was King of England at the time of, when America had the Revolutionary War, was a Freemason. Interestingly enough, both King George and George Washington, two different Georges, were both Freemasons and were both waging a war against one another, in an interesting kind of historical side note. If that were the case, Sampura, then Illuminati would be the sun that's no longer with us. Sun doesn't exist. It was, again, started in 1777, but died out. It's no longer present. Freemasonry is kind of what it stood the test of time. World Cleanup. It's hard to say because Illuminati group doesn't really exist, right? It was just started as another esoteric order by a guy called Adam Weishaupt. So it was kind of, to my understanding, structured in somewhat similar ways to Freemasonry. Adam Weishaupt borrowed a lot of Freemasonry structures or ideas when he formed it, but ultimately it was designed as kind of another private fraternal organization. It was great to have you here as well, Smokey. Thank you so much. By the way, I'm one sub away from 2,850 subs. So everybody be cool and hit that like and subscribe button. Um, I mean, I'm pretty sure they don't exist. So pure. I can't, it's hard. I can't prove a negative. But the Illuminati really hasn't existed, at least in any meaningful way, for a century or so. I mean, sure. Yes, thank you, Mark Robinson, FDF. I mean, I respect Jewish people as I do every other group. I've got some good Jewish friends. I don't know if I sympathize, or I don't know what that word would mean, but I certainly am not anti-Semitic. I think Jewish people are, wonderful people, etc., etc. Freemasonry does not discriminate based on religious beliefs. I'm proud to call many Jewish people my brethren. Um, well, it sounds like you might be FDF. You should not be anti-Semitic. That seems like a very bad thing to be. Thank you, Mark. Very kind of you. How would you? Well, I mean, at the start, just focus on the first 3 degrees: entered apprentice, fellow craft, master mason. To get those, basically, you join, and then there's just the degree structure. To move from, let's say, your entered apprentice degree to a fellow craft degree, you have to prove your proficiency. The way to prove your proficiency is usually by answering a series of questions or memorizations. If you can answer them correctly, and you've demonstrated, that you show up for meetings, you can speak about Freemasonry, you can speak about what you've experienced, in a way that's coherent, you move up. It's really a lot of call and response, question and answer. Um, so, then you can start to think about things like York Rite, Scottish Rite, appendant bodies. But to me, at the start, the focus should just be on advancing through the first 3 degrees. The first 3 degrees are the most important degrees, anyways. That's what the highest rank in Freemasonry is, a 3rd degree. After that, you can look into York or Scottish Rite. Those are appendant bodies, but you'll never get any higher or more important than Master Mason degree. And again, to get that, what you need to do is you join at the entered apprentice level, and then you study your ritual book, and you answer a series of questions based on the degree you went through, is normally how it operates. How do I know what? FDF? I mean, so I guess theoretically, and by the way, I speak exclusively for myself, I guess I'm a Zionist in that I'm a two-state solution. That's what I believe is the best approach to that particular problem. I believe a Jewish state and a Palestinian state, or Israeli and Palestinian state, are the best approach. I'm also a member of a lodge in Israel, Lodge Holy Land number 50 out of Tel Aviv, and proud of it, which I'm sure FDS or FDF will not be a fan of, but that's okay. Habibi says free Palestine. I don't disagree. I hope that Palestinians get a state, its own state with self-determination, separate from Israel. Well, fair enough, FDF, but I'm still asking for people to like and subscribe nonetheless. I do. That seems to me, and this is me personally speaking, that seems to me the best approach. I can't think of this argument I hear of a single state. I just don't think it's possible, but we'll see. Anything is possible in fairness, and we don't know what the best solution is, maybe. Um, well, I don't know if anybody can ever truly win in a war. I think I know that sounds super peacenik. Sometimes it's necessary, right? I'm not gonna say that there aren't times. Certainly, I think World War II was necessary to stop Nazi Germany. However, I still think at the end of the day, it's not really a matter of winning. Um, and I wouldn't put it in those terms. Um, for whatever it's worth. But again, this is my personal opinion. One thing is people need to remember about Freemasonry. Freemasons, we are not allowed to discuss. We are not allowed to discuss politics or religion while in lodge. So you can have a guy who is an ardent supporter of Israel and a guy who is an ardent detractor of Israel, and they both sit in lodge together and work together for Freemasonry and don't discuss their political views and how they differ. I think that's one of the most beautiful things about Freemasonry is it welcomes men of all different faiths and beliefs and politics and ages, etc., etc. I think that's a pretty awesome thing. People always say that. I'm not sure that's the case. It's more of a coincidence, I think, than people actually realize. Because they always say like, well, it's got the square and compass, except the ends of the compasses is missing. So it's like, why would they make this thing be laid out like a square and compass and then forget about one of the sides? No to both of those, JJ. You do not have to be somewhat rich. You don't have to be rich at all. You have to be, I suppose, rich enough to afford the yearly dues, which usually range between $100 and $200 per year US currency. So, I mean, I do know, I don't want to pretend like $100 to $200 per year is nothing. For some people, that is absolutely, for a lot of people, that is a ton of money. However, that's really the cost, $100 to $200 per year, plus usually a one-time initiation fee that's around $500 is usually the case. And you don't need to know anyone. You certainly don't need to know anyone to make the initial approach, to approach a Masonic lodge and express an interest in joining or just learning more. If you make that approach, they will take time to get to know you, hopefully. They will take time to learn about why you want to be a Freemason, what you hope to get from Freemasonry. If you're a good fit for the lodge, it's also your chance to talk to them and get to know them better. But the initial, you don't need to know anybody to be a Freemason, to at least make the initial approach. That is one of those misconceptions that very often people get mixed up. They think to be a Freemason, you need to know somebody before you make the approach, or you need to have a family connection, neither of which is the case. Perky, Freemasonry is not evil. Freemasonry is an organization that makes the world a better place. Well, so every lodge is different. I mean, so a lodge may ask you if you have any family members who are Freemasons, and that's just because if you do, they want to speak to your family member who's a Freemason about you and learn more about you that way, perhaps to even sponsor you. But they probably weren't asking to exclude you if you didn't have it. Again, it's just in the same way I will ask a new applicant or somebody who's interested in being a Freemason. I'll ask them, like, do you know anybody in the lodge? And if they say yes, then that's somebody who can maybe act as a sponsor for them or tell me more about them. If they say no, that's okay. Then I'll just learn about them on my own, coffee or, whatever it is. I do not worship Satan, nor do I worship the Kabbalah. Jeans TV, hello. Double D, hello. Vizo, hello. Please hit like and subscribe. I cannot go back to the US because I live in Canada. And I love Canada, greatest country in the world. I love the States as well. We do not, Wayman Jr. I think you may be reading some Albert Pike, because I think he talks about Saturn in More Than Dogma. I could be mistaken, but we do not worship or pay homage to Saturn. We are not a religion, right? Freemasonry is not a religion, so it does not worship any particular deity, Saturn nor otherwise. Thank you for subbing. Candace Too Cold. Oh, the cold makes you tough, Mark Robinson. The cold makes you tough. Yes, it does, and it's a wonderful smell, maple syrup, Double D. Smelling like maple syrup is wonderful. I do not know what a blue hat is, but that's cool. Thank you for being here. I am into being awesome, but I don't answer those questions. So whatever you think, it's up to you. Um, See, I'm going to be a bad Canadian. I'm not a huge fan of poutine because I don't like gravy that much. I know I'm a bad Canadian. Um, I know I got a big nose, SJ Slum, but you can still hit like and subscribe. Um, what do I believe caused people to believe that Freemasonry was or is evil? There's a few different things, Crystal. That's a very good question. Part of it is because Freemasonry has private ceremonies as part of it, it's an easy target for people, especially if they're struggling with their own lives. If maybe they're unhappy or they feel that the world isn't turning out their way and they're looking for somebody to blame or a group to blame, you can always use Freemasonry as kind of an easy scapegoat or an easy boogeyman. Um, Historically, right, Hitler targeted Freemasonry as, he considered it to be a Jewish kind of part of a Jewish conspiracy. Obviously, Hitler was full of baloney, although I think FDF might disagree with that one. I would say Hitler was not only a terrible human being, but, you know, created a lot of conspiracy theories and targets around Freemasonry, as well as obviously other groups, Jewish people primarily. And that caught on with a lot of people who were struggling with their lives, looking for somebody to blame, and found an easy target within Freemasonry. Um, I would say, and then social media has not helped anything. I mean, there's always been anti-Freemasonry. Even the Leo Taxil hoax, that was a hoax in the late 18th century, late 19th century, where somebody wrote a whole bunch of what turned out to be a hoax, but a bunch of pamphlets claiming Freemasons were worshiping Satan. Leo Taxil, it was a hoax, but by the time he admitted it was a hoax, it had already spread. So those are just some of the reasons. I hope it made sense. I don't own any home, nor do I own any businesses, except for this Square and Compass business. Please give me a 99-cent super chat, FDS. I mean, so Freemasons can be Jewish. I know Jewish Freemasons, that I also know Christian, Catholic, Hindu, Sikh Freemasons. In terms of Zionism, right, is a political philosophy. We are not allowed to discuss politics in a lodge. There are some Freemasons, I'm sure, who are Zionists, but there are many who are not as well. So, right, Freemasonry does not represent any particular religious nor political belief. I know Muslim Freemasons. Yeah, I know several Muslim Freemasons. All very good brothers, excellent people. Crystal, I appreciate that. I would be, um, I would not use the term faiths. You say, I've always been curious about things like Scientology, Freemasonry, and other faiths. Keep in mind, Freemasonry is not a faith. It's not a religion. Having said that, I think curiosity is a very good thing. Am I good enough for heaven? Probably not. I'm aiming hard for purgatory. Clark Kent, please hit like and subscribe. Yeah, I know Muslim Freemasons, Buddhist Freemasons, Hindu or Sikh Freemasons. Muslims can absolutely become Freemasons. And they are. They are a wonderful part of the craft, wonderful part of my Masonic family. It kind of depends on where they live, right? Like what I've found is whatever the majority population, whatever the majority religion is within somebody's community, that's the majority religion that's represented in a lodge, right? So if you are living in a community, the majority of which is Muslim individuals, your lodge will likely be majority Muslim, and then let's say 20% are Christian, you'll have 20% Christians in your lodge. It tends to follow whatever the demographics of the community is. Well, I'm not looking to repent because I haven't killed millions. So there you go. Oses Gordon, please hit like and subscribe. I mean, I don't know what ancient Kemet Kemetian science is. Um, However, I will say Freemasonry copied and proudly copied from many different philosophies and ideas. It primarily borrowed or copied from stone masonry, operative masonry, right? It primarily copied from that when developing rituals and metaphors and philosophies. However, it also copied slash stole from Christianity, from Islam, from ancient Chinese mythology, Egyptian mysticism, Stoic philosophy. Um, right? We're all dipping from the same well. And then many groups that came after Freemasonry copied from Freemasonry, which is okay. We're all dipping from the same well. Um, what do I personally think of Scientology? I don't know enough about it to say. I mean, my personal view is always going to be if some belief system brings somebody faith, not faith per se, but brings somebody peace and comfort, then good for them. But I don't know enough about Scientology to really speak on it. To my understanding, Scientologists believe in a supreme being, so they could be a Freemason. That's no issue. I believe on our part. Whatever, but if Scientology were to tell them they couldn't join, then that'd be between them and Scientology. Um, it is only guilty people who don't like being judged. I mean, in my experience, people as a general rule are not a fan of being judged, guilty or not guilty. I think it's human nature to not like to be judged. Having said that, I have no issue. Judge me. You are free to judge me as much as you want, Clark Kent. And that's true for everybody who's watching this stream, right? One of the things I've learned is if you're going to be online, you're going to be on YouTube, then part of what that means is you have to be willing to accept people are going to judge you. Whether it be, sometimes they're going to judge you for your looks and what, there's nothing you can do about that. Sometimes they're going to judge you for the way you talk. Sometimes they're going to judge you for the way you look. And sometimes they're going to judge you for what you choose to talk about. In this case, Freemasonry, which is okay. Internet's not real life, right? You should never take it too seriously. You'll drive yourself insane. Um, I do not know. Well, first of all, I have removed any rocks from any poles, and I do not know to what you're referring. Freemasons are not up in the North Pole, to my knowledge. I forget what the most northern Masonic lodge is. I have to look that out. Um, Me personally, I don't follow any particular religious beliefs. I believe in a supreme being, but I don't believe in necessarily any particular religious belief. I believe in a supreme being, though. It does not, Clark Kent. It has its roots in stone masonry guilds. Yes, I got big gap in my teeth. I've grown to accept it about myself. What can I say? Um, I just have to live with my teeth, but you can live by hitting, you can live with yourself if you give me a like and a subscribe. Would be much appreciated. And even a 99-cent super chat so I can buy a fancier toothbrush. I think that's the best way to approach it. Um, so Clark, once again, Freemasonry does not have its roots in paganism and Egyptian mythology. It has its roots primarily, again, in stone masonry guilds from the 15th century, and a little bit earlier. You know, Freemasons and a lot of people in general in the Middle Ages and Victorian era London were obsessed with ancient Egypt and incorporated Egyptian mysticism and symbols and kind of Egyptian mysticism into Masonic ritual and symbology. But that doesn't mean it has its roots going that far back. I throw no stones. Well, hey, don't throw stones at a Mason. We love stones. Um, what do you think? Oh my! So it'd probably be whatever the most common religion. Well, I'd say Christian, right? Freemasonry was founded in Europe, in England, at a time when the majority of people would have been Christian. It, first traversed through Christian lands and continents before making its way to places with other religions, and the Middle East, Muslim. So I would imagine Christian, Protestant specifically. But again, I've known Masons who are Muslim, Jewish, Sikh, Hindu, indigenous, Masons like me who have no religion but believe in a supreme being, etc., etc. Um, I do not think Jesus Christ is a psyop. I don't know what you mean by that. Africa, right? Egypt is located in Africa and it has some incredible history to it. One of my dreams is to one day visit Egypt. It'd be a pain in the butt trying to wheel through the desert in a wheelchair, but I would do it to see those pyramids. That's for sure. It'd be beautiful. As above, so below. Novus Ordo Seclorum. Well, no, I mean Freemason. One thing we are taught within Freemasonry, and one of the greatest strengths of Freemasonry is that we are to be respectful of all different religions and religious beliefs. We're not to be a reviler of anyone's personal religious beliefs. One of my favorite statements on religious freedom and tolerance comes from a Masonic work, comes from the Anderson Constitution of 1723, and it's a work that I really, really love. So basically, it's saying whatever religious beliefs people have, you're to be respectful of them. You don't have to believe them, but you are to be respectful of them. It's not a secret society. It's a society with private ceremonies. I've grown to accept that, but you can hit the like and subscribe button, chocolate face. I guess what I'd say, Clark, is I think you've been watching a little bit too much YouTube conspiracy theory, conspiracy-minded stuff. Blake, please hit like and subscribe. I truly appreciate it. I've not sacrificed anything, FDF, other than a lot of my time. So I have sacrificed that, which is a pain in the butt. I mean, I've been a Freemason since 2007. I joined because my dad is a Freemason, and both of my grandfathers were, and so I always assumed I would join. Honestly, when it comes to Freemasonry, I think everybody finds their own interest, but ultimately, I love Freemasonry, and I always say this because I love the way it sounds. And what I mean by that is, I don't know, Crystal, what your favorite song is. For me, my favorite song is Simple Man by Leonard Skinner. I love that song. My second favorite song is Prodigal by Blacktop Mojo. And I always mention that because that band needs more love. And, 50 people can listen to Simple Man by Leonard Skinner at the exact same time. And all 50 of them will, even though they've heard the exact same song at the exact same time, they'll all form a completely different opinion about it. Some will love it, some will hate it, some will think it's okay. Ultimately, it's not about the song, it's about the individual and his relationship to the song. And that could be based on his personality, what's happening in his life when he hears it. You don't pick your favorite song. Your favorite song finds you, it picks you. Freemasonry is the same way. There's just something about me and something about my predispositions, my personality, the way I grew up, what was happening in my life when I joined Freemasonry, that just made me fall in love with it. Other people, they join, they don't like it, they leave. Other people join, they think it's okay. And all of that is perfectly acceptable. But for me, when I joined, I loved the religious tolerance aspect of it. I loved the idea of working as part of a team to build a better world. I loved the history of it. I loved the way it made me feel closer to my grandfather, who passed away before I was born. I mean, with all that stuff, right? If that makes any sense. And Freemasonry is not a cult, nor is it deep state. I mean, I think so. I mean, they couldn't really not that. I mean, I don't recall my dad ever telling me like join Freemasonry, or ever expecting that I would necessarily. I never really talked to him about it one way or the other. But I mean, I don't know, because it's hard to know, like, there's no alternative history, right? If he is not a Freemason, and I never went to the lodge Christmas parties and saw him being a Mason and saw him being a worshipful master, would I have joined? There's no way to know, right? I'd like to think I would have still found it, but because he was a Freemason and was active and they had Christmas parties and things, I kind of grew up seeing it and feeling like it was of great value, and liking it, liking what it was. But certainly, the fact that my family are Freemasons may have influenced my decision to join, but it didn't influence my decision to become as active as I became, because I'm probably the most active Freemason, certainly, like, consistently. My dad was a master, both my grandfathers were. But in terms of length of time and number of meetings, I would say I think I'm the most active within the lodge. Um, I'm fond of nice cast blast. First of all, you have great taste in music. Um, and I can imagine how much fun it would be listening to Leonard Skinner while hunting and fishing. I think I found purpose in them, Crystal, is what I would say. I found a purpose in them. The purpose being to try to make the world a better place through the application of brotherly love, relief, and truth. Well, I mean, Clark Kent, we are tolerant of religions in the same way a civic or civil society is tolerant of religions. You're not going to be at your job insulting someone else's religious beliefs. You're going to be tolerant of their religious beliefs, right? Like because they're, however it is you feel about what they believe, you have to work with them. Um, Thank you, Cast Blast. I mean, one thing we're taught, Perky Callan, within Freemasonry is to be respectful and to be, a good citizen. That means following the laws of the country in which you live. So I'm Canadian. I comply with Canadian laws, as every Freemason should. And if I'm traveling somewhere else, like I'm going to be traveling to England pretty soon, I will be respectful and compliant with the laws in England. Afternoon, insert name here. Insert name, please hit like and subscribe. You can insert your name as a subscriber and a follower of Square and Compass Promotions. FDF, I have no idea what that means, but that sounds very racist and very uncool to me. Thank you, insert name. I'm going to be ending this stream shortly. It's been a blast, but I do have to get to sleep. It's 2 a.m. Any last questions on Freemasonry? I'll do my best to answer them. I hope everybody who's listened to this so far, I didn't think he was. I did not think he was. Anybody who has joined, thank you for being here. I'll be back on at 1 p.m. Eastern, so about 11 hours. 11 o'clock Seattle time. I got to get myself to Seattle. We do not have a Jewish flag in my lodge. Most lodges don't have a Jewish. I assume you mean like. I don't know what you mean by. Do you mean the Israel flag? I don't know what you mean by Jewish flag. So FDF. I'm not sure to what you're referring. Yes, Theophilus. JJJIA. I hope I answered questions for you. Let me know if I did and if it made sense. Eastern Star, referring to maybe he's referring to Star of David, which is Eastern Star, which the 5 points are meant to represent 5 virtues as well as 5 women of the Bible. I used to know what they were. Ruth, Esther, Martha, I forget who else. Well, no, it's not, I wouldn't even use the term tolerant of. Freemasonry is welcoming of religions, including Christianity. I know many Christian Freemasons. Again, I would say the majority religion represented in Freemasonry is probably Christian. I don't have any. Rebecca might be one of them. I don't have any proof. I don't have any stats of which religion is most represented in Freemasonry. So that's just a guess. But I know many. Christian Freemasons. I will be going live again in about 11 hours, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, so 11 hours from now. Don't forget, it's not too late to consider doing a super chat of even 99 cents. Would be incredibly helpful, helps get the stream out to more people. And thank you, everybody, for joining and talking to me. It's been an absolute blast. Insert name here. Sia. Are you from Australia? England? Insert name. When I see mate, I'm thinking perhaps an Australian fellow. Okay, so it would be 10 a.m., I guess. Your time is when the next stream will be. Welcome. I was going to end the stream, but I was going to give people a couple minutes just to see if anybody quickly jumps on to say, have any more questions. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Keep in mind, 1 p.m. today, so about 11 hours from now Eastern, I'll be back on stream. Sorry that you're not working right now, Theophilus. I'm sure you'll find a job soon, though. Unless maybe you're just off sick or recovering and we'll get back to work soon. But if you were laid off or lost your job, that sucks. I hope that you will find something new soon. Looks like we are. All right, guys. I'll see everybody later. Thank you all for having an excellent stream. Talk to you all soon.